this is the crown and I'm just cutting it off. I've actually made a hole in here and then start cutting so that I can use this for something else. Because if I went up this way, then this would be useless. I wouldn't really be able to use it. I wouldn't be able to block it onto another, say, trilby brim or anything like that. So I'm cutting this way by making a hole and going straight in. There. So we have that one. This one can then, the whole piece can be used for another brim another time, maybe on a trilby a brim or another wider sort of mother the bride brim. So that's good, that's save that for later. So then we've got this one. Now if you just push down with your thumbs and push up with your fingers and just releases it from the plastic, and then we can take that off. So then that's really nice and stiff, lovely colour, really nice straw that we've got there. You can see the detail of the straw on this one. So we've got our next section of putting the hat together, taking it off the brim, putting the crown on. But first of all, I just want to show you this hat, because this is another one that we've been making that you can do if you like. Now this is a Panama straw here, and it's a Panama straw here, but this is a different weave. So this is a beautiful weave. So it's got the holes in. And we've put Petersham inside there. So this is what you're going to do at the end of the day. You're going to attach the crown to the brim, then you're going to put the Petersham inside. You're also going to have Petersham on the outside here, and then you can adorn it with all of your trimmings. This one has a Petersham bow. It has Petersham around the edge here, so we've sewn all of that on. You actually can't see any of the stitches, so we've done that as invisible as possible. And then my trick of putting boiling water on just to shrink it to fit. This works with most Petershams if it's more cotton or more viscose. It's just the only one it wouldn't work with is if you've bought ribbon instead of Petersham. Some ribbons look exactly like Petersham, but they're not. So then they wouldn't shrink if it's just full on ribbon. But if it's got the cotton in it, then it's going to work. So this is the hat, crown, brim, all Panama straw, flowers, Petersham here, bow, Petersham on the edge. So this is the sort of thing you can create. So there we've got the Petersham and everything. So that's the sort of thing you can create at the end of the day. What I used was parasitical straw instead of this lovely Panama. So we're trying to do the crown and the brim because you can use this a lot for hats. These ones are quite in right now, they're boated, so it's a really good thing to learn. So what we've been working on is our parasitical here. These are the tabs that are coming up. So this is what we cut into last time. And then I put wire in the edge and I sewed down all of the edge. This one then needs a bit of a block again, so it just needs, not a block necessarily, but just a little bit of an iron. So I would put the crown piece back on and then just pin it down and give it another dry iron just to make sure it's all flat and it's all flat underneath here and nice. Now you can either sew this down so you've got a centimetre and a centimetre, or you can roll the edge, so you can try doing that as well. So that's nice. Now my crown section is this one, and you've just seen me. Well, I've cut it out of this, so this is the leftover, and this is great for another brim. So I've cut it so that I can use the whole thing. I've got a whole circle here. I can use that for something else, so make sure you do that. I haven't sliced it up the side. I've just made a hole and cut around it. So you can see that. That's for later, and then this is what's left. Now this is our crown section. This is what I mean by multi-block. These ones I've got from Guy Morse, so you can get this one. It's a little bit more expensive than a crown block. I showed you this one at the first lesson right at the beginning when we went over blocks. It's a little bit more expensive, but you do get 4 different types of tops. So you can get your normal round crown, which I've got hiding down there. I'm going to get that out. And then we've got a flat, and then we've got a slight little lip. Let me just quickly show you those. So this is my one with a little bit of a lip going up. That's nice. This is my round crown. Then I've got my flat one. Then I've got another one of these which isn't so prominent. So it's a little bit flatter, but it still grades up slightly. So that's quite nice. So a lot of clients like the one which is just graded slightly, or this one because it's a little bit different. But if you want a round crown, a normal crown, then you would put that on. So when I bought these, they're around £220, but you get all of these different tops. And then this as well is good if you're just going to take it off, and you can use that like we did, just for our sort of boater top here. Now, I've just stuck that back for a minute. You do have rods which go up inside and screw inside to keep it all together. And then you get one of these bases, you get one of these, this one, which is part, oh yes, this one is well, so you get actually 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 tops. This is 4 of these, and then you get an extra piece as well to make it taller if you want a top hat. Anyway, that's it, that's our crown. Then this has been blocked on this, cut this off. And this is the side of the brim that we used for this. Put that down and set on. Now I can see where my crown is. It's more of a oval shape, so you need to work out where your front and your back is. And then we put that on. Now this is a 22.5-inch crown now, because I blocked it from this. That one, sorry, the brim, which is 22.5. And I blocked that one on this, which is a 22.5. So this will fit on this. If we want a 22, we need to shrink it. So by the time we put the two together, it brings it in by 1/2 inch, and then I've got a 22, which is the average head size that everybody has normally. That's the size, it's all in the shops, is 22 inches. If you're 21.5, 21.5 and a little bit, you know, you might be completely different to everybody else. You might have a 23-inch head. So this is the time when you need to think about it. If I was going to make a hat like this for a client who had a 23-inch head, I would start with a 22.5. I'd block felt on it, which puts it out to a 23, and then I'd block on that. So I'd put plastic over that, and then I'd block my pieces on that. If I wanted a smaller one, then I've got this, which is the 22.5, or I could use a 22 if you've got a few blocks. But I put this on, and if I got 22.5, then this will make it a 22. And then I put Petersham inside it and a lining, and then I'm shrinking it again by another 1/2 inch. So that's how you grade it down, by putting things inside. You can also put a little bit of a bulky tab in the back if you want to shrink it in a little bit more. So you need to think about the client's head shape, and roughly every time you put something in it, you're losing nearly 1/2 inch, and you can just keep measuring it. But if the client was a 22.5 and I wanted to keep this, then I'd put that on, I'd put this on, which then shrinks it, and then I need to block it back out again, so I'd put it back on and steam it. So I'm just putting it on now, just to sort of make sure I'm getting the tabs in the right place up inside, and then it will be a 22, and then I'd have to steam it slightly and put it back on the block again, just to make sure. So you need to just think about that. So now this one is a little bit giving, this straw here. If I had a lot more stiffener on it, then it would be a lot more secure. I'm just going to put a tab in, a pin in here. And then it's good to work out which is your front and your back as well. You don't want to put it on slightly squiffy and be putting this out. So you want to make sure that's right. So I'm just sitting that on to sort of measure it, make sure I'm happy. Pin in one side, then pin in the other. Okay, just to make sure. Now that's quite a nice shade of colour and a lovely hat. So it's a lovely shape. If I put this back on, you see it's shrunk a bit. It won't go on completely properly unless I stretched it back out again. So I'm going to put that on a smaller one. Now we need to put Petersham on. Okay, so now I've put that up inside, we've pinned it slightly. Now I'm lucky enough to have a 22-inch block as well, so I can just rest that on there. If you don't have that, then you can just put it on as, say, a polystyrene head or something else, because you're not blocking with it. It's just to sort of rest it on there whilst you're putting the Petersham on. Now, this one, just to tell you, I haven't put that much stiffener on it. It was quite stiff anyway, and then I blocked it. I put a little bit of stiffener on, but I haven't put that much. So it's got a little bit of a floppy feel to it. So if I just put that on my head, you can see I've got a bit of a dip coming down here. So that's quite nice. I could, if I wanted to put more stiffener on, I could make that completely straight and out. The back is straight and the front has got a little bit of a dip. Sometimes you can also do it so it waves to the side a little bit, if you just pull it in slightly, or you can tilt it. You can have it a little bit warped if you want to. But this is just nice as a shape. Some people might not want it as wide as that and have it a little bit narrower. That's your preference, and if you want it dead straight, again, that's your preference. So now you need to put Petersham on around here just to make that lovely and beautiful. So that's quite a nice colour happening there, or we've got more of the lilac. Not sure. This is a lovely cream and it would have been perfect, but I don't quite have enough of that left. And we have now the wider one, which is more of the cream, if you want that to stand out and be quite powerful. So I think we could go for this lovely grey, and I would just pull this around and then pin it at the back, cut off the excess, put a pin in, then take it off, sew it together, and then we put it back down again. But first of all, you want to actually sew this crown bit on. So to sew this on, you want big stitches on the inside and little stitches on the outside. So I'm basically going up and down, then I'm moving along an inch, up and down, moving along an inch, up and down, moving along an inch. Okay, now once you've sewn that on, you want to put the Petersham on. I'm going to show you that in cream in the drop down video, and then I'll show you it again here. So we've got a wider Petersham here, which is 1.5 inches. Then we've got the purpley lilac-y colour, inch, a lovely sky grey. That'd be nice on that, probably not work with that. That one, maybe if you wanted to change the colour, or a thinner cream, so that could be nice. That's got a bit of a pinky tone to it, and it looks quite bright on here, but in real life that is a little bit of a brown in there and a bit of pink in there, so that could go quite nicely. So then if you're going to use that, you would pull the whole thing around and attach it at the back, then take it off, sew it down the middle, and then put it back on again. But that one, I think actually it might be nice to have quite a wide one going around, and then we could have the purple on top. Maybe do it that way. So just to show you, this is the back. So I would just bring this all the way around, pull that tightly at the back, and then you can see this is the Petersham. Put a little pin in the back. So we've got a little pin in there. Cut off any excess. Then when the pin is still on, we pull that up and we have this, we have the pin here. We fold that out, but I would just cut it so that is quite close. Make sure that is exact. Make sure that is exact like that one. And then sew. So then you do tiny little stitches all the way down, like machine stitches. You can do a back stitch. Make sure that's really tight. Just open it up, test it, make sure it's really tight after you've stitched it. And if it is, then that is the inside. So you flip it. So the messy is on the inside. Then it goes back on, and then we sew it down. So it just sits back on, and then you pull it all down into place, and then you do some little tacky stitches at the bottom just to make sure that's all secure and it's not going to come off. But before you put this on, we need to sew this down. So you've pinned it, and then you would take it off your block. And then the stitch is tiny stitch on the outside, big fat stitch on the inside about 1 inch. So you're just going up and down on the outside, inside the hat, so inside here you're doing a big jump. So it's about 1 inch wide. Then up and down stitch and then jump again, up and down stitch and then jump again. So that's how you're going to keep that on, and then you're going to put your Petersham on, and then you're going to put all your trimmings on, and then you're going to put some more Petersham on the inside. This is how the inside looks, with all the tabs down inside here, and this also, these tabs enables it to come in a little bit. So I'm losing about 1/2 inch because this is quite thick, and then adding this in as well, sort of bringing it in a bit. So we're going to sew all of those tabs in, and then at the end of the day you're going to put Petersham inside just to make all that lovely and neat. You can put a lining in as well if you want to. Then we need to start adding all of your trimmings and different things on. You might not want that much on, you might just want a bow. You can put that on the side there. You might want flowers, you might want all sorts of things. Now the flower that we used, we can put that on as well. This also, if you want to hide this seam here, you don't have to have it at the back. You could have it around about here, because then you could hide it with all your flowers or your trimmings or your bows. And you can just put that on there and just have a nice little bow, or a little opera bow or a girly bow. I'm going to show you how to make those. And then that just goes on onto this section here, and you hide that. Okay, there we go for now. Now we put the trimmings on.